So the title of my talk is How Pancakes Can Make You Happier and Change the World. But before we get to talk about pancakes, I know you guys are starving, we're going to go to a different place. We're going to go to communist Soviet Russia, which is where I grew up. I'm not sure I've ever grown up, but it's where I spent the first 13 years of my life. My parents and I were here. We're Jewish, and life in Soviet Russia as Jews was really difficult. We faced a tremendous amount of persecution. And so in 1989, on May 21st, we decided to try and escape to the United States. Our first stop was Vienna, where we squeezed into this ridiculously horrible, dilapidated apartment building with dozens of other Russian Jewish immigrants. And when you hear Vienna, you start picturing, the beautiful opera house or the tasty Viennese cakes. Let me assure you, that is not how we spent our time. Although I have to say, my father did make us go see the opera house because he insisted we do something other than just stress and go gray in the face with having no idea where we would end up. After a few weeks of this in Vienna, we took the train at night through the Alps into Italy, where we would spend the next several months in a much larger refugee settlement. And no making fun of my outfit, this is truly the entirety of my wardrobe at this time. And yes, go Michigan. So we spent the next 3 months in a really large refugee settlement with hundreds of thousands of other Russian Jews trying to get refugee status to enter the United States. And if this seems like a really odd beginning to a story about becoming happier, you're absolutely right. I think this was probably the hardest experience my family had gone through. We had nothing. We left everything behind other than 2 suitcases per person and $600. We had no citizenship. We had no idea where we would end up. And, it sounds weird to say, but this is the first time I remember feeling really hungry and not telling my parents about it because they were stressed enough not knowing where we would end up. We did eventually make it to the United States and landed in the projects outside of Detroit, where we would live on welfare and food stamps until my parents found jobs. This wasn't quite the postcard beginning that I thought, the skyscrapers of New York. And everything, you can imagine, everything was really rough. But the one thing I remember the most is just feeling in a fog all the time, feeling completely foolish. And obviously everything was new, but mostly this was because we didn't speak any English. And so I would come home from Scarlet Middle School every day. I'd grab a box of Rice Krispie cereal, because for whatever reason that was a food that was donated to us. And I'd watch hours of TV, hours and hours of TV. And then I got really lucky, because that's when I met my first American hero. This is, if you recall, Sam on Who is the Boss, played by Alyssa Milano. And I decided that if I could just speak English like Sam, I would be really happy. It'd be also awesome if I could have her high-top Jordache sneakers and a pink bedroom, but just sounding like her would make me really happy. And I went nuts trying to learn English. You don't want to hear all the stories. I went to linguistics labs and wouldn't speak Russian for years. And Alyssa Milano, if you are listening to this, truly, you helped me get through one of the worst years of my life. I eventually did learn to speak English. I'm not sure I sound like Alyssa Milano, but better than I did at the time. And when I emerged from this fog, I decided that I was going to make up for the horror that my family just went through by chasing the American dream. And to me, the American dream was to become happy. Really, really, really happy. And the way that I thought you got there was by doing a lot, achieving a lot, and making a lot of money. And so for the next 20 years, I went on what I call the chase of my big happy. I graduated top of my class at college, went to work for one of the most prestigious consulting firms in the world. At 24, became one of the youngest and one of the very few women venture capitalists in New York. I didn't think working 20 hours a day was enough, so in parallel started a publishing company out of our tiny New York illegal sublet, which we eventually sold to a large publisher. Then I thought I should learn how to build technology products because I could impact more people. Went to work for a technology company you guys might have heard of. Didn't like the big company stuff, so joined a local startup here in Boston, helped build it and helped sell it to another large company. Drove some really, really fancy cars along the way. Married an awesome guy, had a great kiddo, made sure she was only in very, very expensive high-end strollers. And I learned a lot. I appreciated my life very much. But after 2 decades of chasing the big happy, I wasn't happy at all. I was mostly really, really exhausted. My father's a scientist, so I turned to science to see if I could learn something about being happier, because whatever I was doing wasn't working. And I started looking at the research, and this is when I had what I call my holy crap moment. And my holy crap moment was as I read research from fields as diverse as neuroscience and economics and psychology and sociology, I realized I'd been doing it all wrong. I was chasing this non-existent, impossible nirvana state of happy and was missing all these small happy moments that were part of my everyday. Because the thing is, life is made of moments, and I could have chosen to focus and collect on the positive ones. What I learned really changed my life. I changed my outlook, and I became inspired to start a company called Happier with one vision, truly one goal, and that is to encourage millions of people to stop saying, I'll be happy when, and to start saying, I'm happier now because. Obviously, as a Russian, it's natural that I would start a happiness company because we're such a happy bunch. It was obvious to me, at least. So as I was looking at this research, the most powerful theme that kept emerging was so simple, I immediately rejected it. And then it kept coming back and back, and that is that focusing on small positive moments that are part of our everyday has been scientifically proven to fundamentally change how positive we feel. Research has shown that this makes people less stressed, more productive, less anxious, less depressed. This helps kids learn better in school. That helps employees be more productive at work. If you do this consistently, this can have an impact such as helping you catch fewer colds and have 50% fewer heart attacks. And it seems like a really small principle. The key to it is that you do capture these moments somehow, that you are aware of them. And how you capture them doesn't matter. You can write them down, you can take a snapshot of them. And at Happier, what we've done is we built this mobile application, which is, we think of it as almost an emotional bookshelf in your pocket. And the idea is if you now have these emotional bookshelves, maybe they help encourage and inspire and remind you to collect and find these small positive moments in every day. And I thought I'd share a few of them with you just to illustrate the point of just how simple they can be. So here's one I love. We do family night at home with my husband and daughter. So here's a dad enjoying movie tradition with his daughter. Sometimes a moment can be as simple as sharing a laugh with a friend. And sometimes you have to dig really, really deep to find a happy moment in your day, but they're there. And the idea, again, is just that you collect them, you pause and you focus on them and you reflect on them. Another theme that kept emerging as I was looking at all this research for a few years was fascinating, and that is that happiness is contagious in the best possible way. That, for example, if you're talking to someone and they're smiling, you can't help yourself but to start to smile because mirror neurons are firing in your brain and it's releasing endorphins. Did you also know that if a friend or a neighbor who lives within a mile of you is more positive, you have a 25% higher chance to feel more cheerful and positive yourself? Pretty incredible idea that something as simple as someone being more positive around you or you smiling when you interact with someone can truly impact their happiness as well. A few weeks ago, it was this very rainy, gray, cold Monday, typical June Monday in Boston. And we were dragging our feet in the morning, and so I said, okay, we got to cheer up. I decided to make these crazy pancakes to get my daughter and my husband to smile. Of course, I shared a happy moment about it in Happier later that day. And a few hours later, I got a text from my friend, and it said, hey, what'd you use for the hair on the pancakes? I had an awful day. It made me smile. I think I'm going to make them for my guys. It's turkey bacon. I thought we should all spread some happy together because, one of the other very simple ways to get happier is to make someone else smile. So everyone under your seats, you've been wondering what those packets are. Let's ruffle, let's noise them. And in them are these small cards that look like these cards on the screen. What I'd love for you to do, now that the noise subsides, that's actually a very happy noise. What I'd love for you to do is later today, tomorrow, over the next few days, give one of these cards to a friend, a family member, anyone who you'd love to encourage to smile. And if you're watching this, you don't need the cards. You can simply go to smile.happier.com and send that URL to a friend or a colleague. I guarantee you two things. It will make their day awesome, and it will make you feel happier. So you might be sitting here and thinking this all sounds a little too simplistic, a little trivial. You know, focusing on positive things in your day, sharing positive moments with others, helping them smile. Can this really make a difference? Can this actually impact your life? Can it actually make you happier? And I could literally stand here for hours and recite one research study after another, just shows just how powerful this can be. But I'm not a scientist, and so instead, what I'd like to do is read you an email that we got from one of our users. Dear Happier team, my grandmother has been extremely sick for 7 years now, and today she underwent a huge brain surgery. As you could guess, this was life-shaking and extremely nerve-wracking for me and my entire family. Throughout the day, I've been on my Happier, and one by one, happy moment by happy moment, my outlook and mood changed. Happier really did make everything so much easier for me. And one more thing, the surgery went great. Rachel. When I was getting ready for this talk, I asked our developers to pull up some of the actual moments that Rachel would have been looking at in her Happier feed that day as she was sitting there waiting for her grandmother to survive the surgery. And here's a few of them. As simple as having a girls' night out, watching a movie. Someone having some time to play Xbox with their brother. This one makes me really hungry. Finding a great frozen yogurt place and enjoying a small treat. These small, tiny, positive moments in these people's lives who Rachel did not know had this incredible impact on her and her day that was one of the hardest that she had been through. Pretty amazing idea. One of the things that's really shocked us in a really amazing way in Happier has just been the number of teenagers that have been using the app. We're a young company. Our application has only been out for 4 months. It's been pretty incredible. We have users who've shared 1 million happy moments in that time and more than 1 million smiles. We smile at moments. It's just a friendlier, less judgmental way of liking. And and it's been really incredible to see these teenagers come, and they tell us that this is the only place they can come and hide from the negativity they find on other social media or the bullying at school, that this is the only place they feel okay to say something positive about their parents or themselves. And you know, with the antidepressants in the US being prescribed at a faster rate than ever and to younger kids than ever, the idea that maybe we've built something that could be more than just a fun app, I think that's freaking awesome.